All right, we're back here in the JConcepts Garage for a brand new vlog episode. We're here, special guest today, Coty Saucier. Coty races on the Monster Jam, basically the world tour. You've been everywhere. You drive the Mutant Super Soda truck. Coty, you're here today at JConcepts. You're down here in Florida. You're at Feld's headquarters. But talk to us a little bit about how you kind of got into the monster truck industry. I get a lot of questions about that personally. People say, "Hey, can you ask so and so how did they get into this?" And I know you have a history with this, so tell us about how this came to be for you.
Sure. I'm glad to share my story. I share it all the time. As a young age, much like yourself, just going to shows in the early '80s. My most memorable show was going to Superdome. I believe it was 87, and Bigfoot 4 was there, and we didn't even go to the event. We were just there we go to New Orleans all the time, and sat in the wheel of Bigfoot, and I thought ever since then I want to be involved in something like that. It was a cartoon come to life in my eyes at the time, and sometimes it still is even to this day, but that's really where it kicked off, and I've been following it ever since. I've seen the evolution from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to now, what it is today, what we're doing with these trucks. It's been a good ride.
So, like you said, to get into this, it's no easy task. Mm-hmm. You have to put a lot of work in. Yeah. But you said you've talked to a lot of people throughout the years, and you've kind of came up maybe the hard way in terms of just getting into it, shining the tires, cleaning the body. But tell us about some of those experiences and how that kind of got you in position to be involved with Feld and Monster Jam.
All growing up, I was a gearhead. I'd work on anything I could, got myself familiar with tools, engines, axles, anything I could, because I knew I wanted to apply that to monster trucks one day. So in the 2000s, even during high school, I would, when the events would come around me, I would just go, show up, volunteer my help with the guys. A lot of the teams back then were all independent guys and weren't privately owned or corporately owned like a lot of the teams are now. So I would go, tire up the trucks, fuel up the trucks, wipe them down, whatever I could, just get my foot in the door, my face known and my name known, and it slowly snowballed from there to what it is today. I'm 24/7 involved with this stuff.
So you're originally from Louisiana, and you attended a lot of big shows back in the day around the Louisiana Superdome, which were, they had a lot of the epic events back then. But you mentioned you sat in Bigfoot 4. What do you remember about events in that area when you were younger, and what kind of drew you to wanting to be involved with the racing side of it, or just monster trucks in general? What was it about it? Besides that, you said it's like a cartoon come to life, but was there something else about it?
It's hard to pinpoint one thing. Going to the shows and the Superdome, we'd always go to the long jump contests and the Astrodome, and stuff like that just caught my eye. Like, look what these guys are doing with these big blower motor trucks and stuff. Growing up as a gearhead, but spent a lot of time at the drag strip. One of my first jobs was handing out time slips at a local drag strip, so I'd see the cars come and go. It's like, these trucks have those motors in them. That's pretty cool. And the long jump contests, Bigfoot 4, pulling sleds around, Dennis doing his crazy stunts that he would do, as I would go out there and make one run and the crowd would go nuts. Stuff like that is what I remember most.
So, you kind of got into a little bit, you were living up in North Carolina. Tell us about that experience with the Andersons, and then how that kind of transitioned you to move into Florida here.
So right out of volunteering my help with the trucks, it became a part-time job. So I would do like first quarter, which is our main season, January, February, March. I would do that. 2004, 2005, I did that until it became a part-time job. In 2008, it became a full-time job. They said, "Hey, are you willing to move to North Carolina to work at the Digger Dungeon?" And I knew Adam and Ryan a little bit just from being friends through the years during the volunteer era. They said, "Yeah, come up, man. We got a spot for you in the house." So I lived up there, worked out the shop for 7 years. That's when I was involved with Damon Bradshaw, the Air Force truck, and then later on the Monster Energy truck. And 2013, I moved down here in Florida and still working at the shop. 2014 is when I got my driving gig.
So we got, there's a lot of different aspects to this. Some guys are drivers, some guys are mechanics, some guys are crew guys. But I mean, at this point, you've kind of done it all. Now you're in the driver's seat of the Mutant truck here. But tell us kind of about your day-to-day responsibility, because you're doing this, like you said, 24/7. You're living and breathing the real monster truck. So tell us, kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis and what's involved in getting these things show to show.
Sure. So typical week for me, let's say like a Thursday to Sunday, I'm at an event. Say it may be Columbus, Ohio. I'm there doing my driving duty, still helping out with the guys on the crew, tiring up the trucks, maintenance them during the race weekend. I fly home. I'm back at the shop, 8 to 5. I'm the shock specialist, so to speak. I maintenance all the shocks. I keep records of all the shocks that we have, keep all the teams that we help out, supply it with spare parts as far as suspension goes. So it's very rarely a day off for myself, but it does take a ton of time and effort to be fully committed into the industry.
So, like you said earlier, the season, kicks off in January. You guys are really busy all year long, but it seems like a lot's really crunched in there at the beginning. And we had a big event at the World Finals. But between those two times, tell us about some of your great experiences or successes or stuff that you're really proud of being with the Mutant truck this year.
Yeah, I'm proud of it all, even from way back from wrenching. But this makes my 5th year driving, and it's been a good ride. I've had a lot of good success, I like to think. Being right off the bat, being involved with Monster Energy, that's such a fitting name. And for them to come to me and announce in 2014, hey, we're looking to do a second truck, it was a dream come true. My first year I went to, I had some big stadium shows. I won my first event in Columbia, South Carolina. It was a small drag race. I think I beat Allison Patrick in the Sampson truck, and Mark Hall and the Raminator. They had huge motors compared to my stuff, but that was my first big win. That year I went to Vegas, got top qualifier for the Young Guns, went to the final, came up short to Mike Vauders Jr., and then the following year ended up winning Young Gun Shootout along with its own top qualifier. I'm pretty proud of going back to back Barcelona events, winning all 3 years. That's pretty cool to take something that I envisioned as a kid to taking it internationally and winning in it. It's events like that. Last year, top qualifier in Vegas. This year, didn't have the success I wanted this year in Vegas, but I'm just proud to be involved, representing Mutant Super Soda, Monster Energy, Monster Jam. It's a dream come true.
So, we wanted to do something special for the RC Monster Jam this year, because alongside of the actual event, they run the RC version. Barry's really involved there, getting that track together, along with a lot of guys. Not just him, but a lot of guys help put that event on. We're all we're all in one industry too, much like the real trucks. But we wanted to get this. Been working on this 2008 Ford F-150 body, which really works well with the Mutant Super Soda wrap that we've put on here. But this is something that we haven't had available in RC yet. Is this this '08 Ford, which is used so commonly in the monster truck game. And you guys, of course, use a fiberglass version. But we really wanted this thing to look like your truck. Obviously, knowing you and being around, we wanted this thing to look really cool. But, I don't know how much time you had to spend at the RC version of the World Finals, but did you get a chance to talk to Fred and the guys about the '08 Ford that we were working on here?
I did. I talked to Fred, talked to yourself, supplied some photos for it. You guys had an idea of wanting to do this body. It is a very common body in the Monster Jam series. Why that is, I'm really not sure. But, I think the first time it ever got seen was on the Power Forward truck years and years ago. And it's just something that stuck. And a lot of the gearhead guys, a lot of the RC guys can relate to that. So they kind of wanted to see something that they could replicate off of. And it's such a commonly used body. You can't go wrong with whatever graphic. It's the Medusa trucks, the Monster trucks, the Mutant Super Soda trucks, Superman. The list goes on and on. So it looks great. And it's sitting at home on top of the Cloudbuster based trucks, the axial based trucks, whatever they may be.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've also had a lot of experience in RC. Maybe tell us a little bit about what you've done in RC in terms of your you've done some monster trucks, you've
Yeah.
done some 10 scale
Yep.
off-road racing, so there's a lot of tie-ins here.
Yep.
And tell us about your RC experience.
Yeah, still involved some 10 scale stuff, still involved obviously with the monster truck stuff. My first memorable experience with RC was at the World of Wheels car show in New Orleans. Early 90s, this guy had a booth set up, had 10 Clodbusters out there, and they're all decked out with a Clydesdale body, a Gravedigger body, a Bigfoot body, a USA one. It's like, man, I gotta do that. So my dad forked out $5 for me to do it. I think I won the class, a little two-lap feature deal. I won it, but that kicked it off for me. After that, I got a Clodbuster, messed it up day in and day out, worked on it myself, and then started getting to 10th scale off-road scene. Had a RC10 T3 I've had for years, and now I've got a B6 that I race regularly. So still very involved in the RC community.
Yeah, and you raced a couple events with us. You did the Super Cup over at Beachline, and you had a pretty good experience over there, right?
Yeah. I think I had top qualifier, I believe it was top qualifier. Not knowing what I'm doing, you guys are far more involved than I am, but it's a lot of fun. Everybody comes together to help out there. AJ Marasco gives me lessons on everything from wrenching to driving the things, and I have a lot of fun with it. I'm ready for some time off so I can get back out on the track.
It's good. So, we had a special gift here that we're working on. We got a fan that you guys see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But what we did is we detailed out with the help of kind of everybody, really, between Trevor Adamo and Bari, Fred Reap, and yourself, and tell us about kind of what we're doing here with this particular body, and then what the plans are.
Sure. So this is a rarity. No, we can't sell this as it is, but you can certainly make your own custom, whatever monster truck you may be. But my buddy out of California, Connor Anapole, he's a huge supporter of me, loves our truck, loves the branding. We're going to sign this bad boy and hand him the body and see what he can come up with and do it his own RC monster truck. I know he's got some of his own. He helped out with the judging, like you said, and he's a good kid, and even with his condition, there's never a bad day in his eyes.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's what's kind of neat about monster trucks. Something that attracted you to it when you were young, or me when I was younger. But there's a really kind of a feel good story with these trucks for kids for some reason, right?
Yeah. We see without kids, I wouldn't have a job. I think Dan Runny said that years ago, but that's the truth. These things appeals to everybody, but the kids, as you and I were kids, so that's. The monster trucks are just fitting for us. I don't know why it is, but when I see a kid cheering up and down in the stands wearing a Mutant Super Soda shirt, it's like, man, I was that kid at one time. That is really cool.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously part of a lot of my experiences from when I was a kid. The Bigfoot guys were really so good to me when I was a kid, and I try to return that favor whenever I can in a different way, I guess. But yeah, I mean that interaction with the fans and the kids goes a long way, and we're happy to do something for Connor and get him a really nice looking truck, and maybe he'll bring this thing back to you at another Monster Jam.
Yeah.
It'll either look perfect or it'll look like he's got some runs on it,
it looked
right?
like I drove it.
But yeah, I mean it's obviously a great situation. But yeah, I mean we're planning on coming out with this 2008 Ford F-150 body. We're in the final stages of decals. Of course, like you mentioned earlier, this is custom wrapped with the Mutant Super Soda. Our body, as they all do, they come clear with the Ford decals, and that's who our licensing is with Ford. And we try to make the best that we can with Ford, and really make them happy what we're able to recreate. And then from there, we let the racers choose however they want to decorate it.
Sure. Yeah, the products you guys are coming out with lately, it's been the missing link, I think, for quite a while with the RC community. Everything from the tires and the scale planetary hubs and the wheels and this and that. It's like I said, it's a missing link, I think, that was missing for a while, and you guys are just nailing it. RC monster truck community right now is exploding, and I can't wait to see what you guys come out with next, or what the other guys come out with next, as far as guys that are doing their own custom stuff. It's all across the board. It's a cool time to be in the industry.
All right, well, I appreciate it, Coty.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
And appreciate what you do out there with the fans and the truck, and all the hard work that you do. Thanks for stopping by here today, and thanks for staying tuned here with the JConcepts vlog, and we'll see you next time.